We will move on to the next presentation in the afternoon. So kanina no, narinig natin from Attorney Nathan Marasigan yung information about blockchain. So this time, the afternoon, we will know more about or have a glimpse about real world example about how blockchain can be applied in government service. Please give a warm round of applause to the Chief Executive Officer of Tetrix Network, Engineer Emman Navalan. Sir Emman.
Allow me to discuss more in depth naman, no, of how blockchain could actually help in a more citizen-centric governance, no. So, uh, okay. All right. Okay, sorry. So, we'll talk about these, no? Blockchain currently, yung landscape natin of blockchain in the Philippines, what is citizen-centric governance. Of course, yung blockchain, its pros and cons. We'll also talk about that kasi baka sinasabi kayo kanina ni Attorney Nathan, lahat ng magaganda, no? But there are also things that you must take into consideration yung mga cons niya. And of course, yung blockchain use cases, things, or I would say projects that you may have that could utilize blockchain technology to be more efficient and effective. Okay. So currently right now, sensya na no, hindi ako sanay dito. Can I step in front? Yeah. Philippines is ranked 6 in the world in terms of blockchain adoption. But to tell you frankly, no, ang karamihan sa atin is not really using blockchain technology, but they are there because of cryptocurrency. And we'll talk about that later on. But we're there. We're seeing a lot of conferences. In fact, maswerte tayo in the Philippines that we have around 3 to 4 conferences year-round for blockchain and Web3. No? Next is that Asia is poised to take the majority of the GDP globally. So what does this mean? We must also take into consideration yung participation ng Pilipinas sa GDP in the world stage, no? So how do we use blockchain to further enhance and be part and take the bigger pie in that 51%? Next is of course yung age group ng mga Pilipino. Sad to say, no, lampas na ako dyan, but 25 years old, grabe, sobrang bata. And as we can see, no, we are starting to see that the generation is more focused on mobile applications rather than the more traditional paper documents that we actually use, no? And lastly, of course, since the Philippines has a lot of OFWs, no, we actually are fourth in terms of remittance. And you'll also see why blockchain could also help our remittance industry. So, what's citizen-centric governance? It really revolves in 4 features, I would say. The first one would be the level of transparency. I think each and every one of you, when you go back to your homes, no, your regular citizens of the Philippines, gusto nyo ng level of transparency sa mga dealings nyo when you transact online. Sana, ang dami yung mga sana totoo tong kausap ko, sana sigurado tong binibili ko, sana totoo yung taong to kausap ko ay legit and whatnot. And the next one is yung accountability. Most of us, no, nakikita natin mga Pilipino, magaling din tayo mang-asar. And one of the reasons why we're like that is wala tayong sense of accountability. Kasi pwede tayong mag-pretend in the space, in the internet, no? And again, blockchain could actually help alleviate this. Next is, of course, when you try to make it more transparent, if all the services of the government becomes more easier and much safer, no, you will see more participation from your citizens. What does that mean? Actually, what this means is that people will now use your platforms, no? And most of the platforms of the government, karamihan dito, hindi nga alam ng mga tao that there are applications really built for them and for the services so that they can use it, no? And the problem with that is mainly because your product or your solution is hard to use, for example, or not secure, or there are threats involved in, say, using the platform. Again, earlier, dinidiscuss kanina ni Yusek, things that could also affect the users, no, mentality in using your applications kasi may deterrent na eh. Na-hack, nagkakaroon ng issues, nagkakaroon ng concerns. So, how do we use blockchain to add more users into platforms and say transform the Philippines, make it even better? And of course, the responsiveness. So if everything is in the blockchain, we're also saying that you could be more responsive to any issues, concerns, or queries of your constituents or your association, your agency, no? Because blockchain could actually help you in that, no? So let me move forward with this. We'll discuss this one by one. So these are some of the issues. In fact, kanina na-discuss nga, so I was like nodding my head. We're seeing identity theft going around. We're seeing, like for example, may mga news nga na nagpe-pretend na Filipino sila. May iba nagpe-pretend na professional sila, doctor sila. Or say, professional sila in different industries, no? Or may mga licenses silang hawak, but there's no way for us to actually check and validate fast, no? And another issue would be ito, may mga 300 fake birth certificates used to apply Philippine passports. And to tell you frankly, when we were actually looking into some of this, some of the issues arising are actually very, I would say, it's actually a national threat, no? So these are very hard to resolve. And we'll see what are the things that we can do using blockchain to actually help reduce or if ever, no, eliminate these types of concerns. And since we were talking about remittances earlier, right? BSP also, narinig ko may mga taga BSP, so hello po. Actually wants the remittances to go down. And through this technology, there are ways to eliminate the middlemen, no, that are causing the remittance prices to go up. Okay, so as we can see, parang ano yan eh, pag maraming pinapasahan, maraming middlemen, of course, there are charges in between, tumataas. If we try to reduce this because of technology, make it more easier for users, it could go down. So those are the things that we are looking into. So what is the core problem in all of this? As we were looking into this and studying this for the last 2 years, ang core problem na nakita namin is really the sources of truth and the preservation of the sources of truth. So what do we mean by this? What are these, no? This is actually the who, the why, the what, the when, the where, the how of everything that we're trying to do. The mission critical information and data that is stored inside different offices, different agencies, even companies, no? And blockchain could actually help you put that in a secure ledger. Kanina pinag-usapan siguro or diniscuss ni Attorney Nathan that blockchain could actually store mission critical information inside the chain. I'm saying mission critical. Let's keep that in mind, mission critical. Because hindi lahat ng data maganda ilagay sa blockchain. Right? So, when we say sources of truth, policies come in. May mga ways ang government agencies to determine if the person is real, if the transaction is correct, and if all of that information falls into the truth that they want to assume before they put that into their platform. Say, for example, when you come up with an ID or a certificate, di ba? Make it very simple na lang. Diploma. Ang laki ng problema natin sa diploma, yung Quiapo, di ba? Nabawasan na po, di ba? But still, ang dami na naman po. We heard news reports recently na merong mga nagdadalang mga fake documentations applying for jobs overseas. So again, nandun pa rin po yung threat niyan. And for us, the use of blockchain would be if the document is verifiable. Since that information or portions of that information is in the blockchain, you could actually verify it fast and easy. you could actually preserve the truth that that person indeed is not holding a certificate that's authenticated and true, right? So let's discuss. I think dito sa blockchain, I'll try to skip it, no? Make it even faster so we can discuss use cases even further. So blockchain, these are myths, right? Blockchain for number one is not cryptocurrency. These are byproducts. Cryptocurrencies are actually instruments, no, that are being used because this blockchain technology can actually be a community-based product. So I'm not saying it is only a community-based because the technology is evolving, right? There are a lot of different blockchain networks as well. So when we talk about blockchain, parang service provider yan, marami pong klaseng service provider. Number two, blockchain is a scam. So blockchains are not really scam until proven. Like it's a service provider nga po, no? If it's a service provider and it's not providing the service, definitely it's a scam. But it is not correlated with the cryptocurrency. It should not be. Number three is that if you use blockchain, you stay anonymous and you can do malicious activities. This is very wrong. In fact, blockchain is a ledger that's immutable, meaning you can be tracked easier globally if you use blockchain to do all of those transactions. Right now, the reason for us having a hard time, it's because we don't have a global standard pa. But once we do, it's faster to get the perpetrators using blockchain technology. And number four, blockchain solves everything. Parang, oh, may problema tayo sa theft, may problema tayo sa ganito. Blockchain natin yan, masasolve yan. That's not also true, right? Blockchain can only supplement or complement your existing policies, frameworks, and architecture or yung technology ninyo. It will never be a standalone product. So blockchain basically how it works is it's forward moving. I think this is already discussed that you cannot change what's already there, but you can update. And the reason why this is very important is you can now track kung ano yung mga changes na nangyayari, the logistics behind, the changes in, say, your identity. Nagpapalit ka ng pangalan, nagpadagdag ka ng junior, senior, the third, nagpalit ka ng address, lahat po yun nare-record doon, those mission critical. And you can also indicate there yung mga information that would help you solve issues. Kunyari, may criminal case, no? You want to understand bakit siya nagkaroon ng fake passport, bakit siya nagkaroon ng fake birth certificate. Pwede ngayon natin ilagay, sino ba yung nag-assess, isama na rin natin sa blockchain. Sino ba yung nag-approve, isama na rin natin sa blockchain. Ano yung ginamit niya to pay, isama na rin natin sa blockchain. Now, once you scan the document, you could actually see sino yung nag-approve, sino yung nag-assess, sino yung nag-accept ng payment. And you can create a network connected to those individuals. So you can check now, sino ba yung mga verify nito? Baka mamaya lahat sila peke. Right? It becomes faster. So blockchain technology is, again, as mentioned earlier, it's not a one-size-fits-all product, solution, or technology, right? It can only complement because the core functionality of blockchain, it's just a ledger. Somewhere that you save precious information. Minsan nga, ang tawag ko dito, it's a diary. A diary where ang difference lang niya is that it's more public. You share that diary to others na every time may sinusulat ka, what's happening in your life, nalalaman din ng mga kasama mo. It's like a social media diary, di ba? So that's how I put it into words. It becomes easier for people to understand. And blockchain is here to complement. It's not something that would eliminate what's existing. It's just here to complement existing frameworks. So what are the challenges of blockchain? Pag sinasabi sa inyo that blockchain is cheaper, to an extent, it is cheaper if you're trying to prevent threats, as discussed earlier. If you're using it for the purposes to reduce your staff and focus more on implementation rather than auditing, it would be better. Yes. But you should not store all of the information in the blockchain. Kasi ganito po nangyayari dyan. When we talk about blockchain, we're talking about redundancies of information or servers. So in our traditional way of doing it, pagka kumuha tayo ng cloud, we're talking about one server o kaya meron tayong on-site servers, we talk about one whole server, no? In blockchain, it's a multiple of that. It's times 10, times 100, times 1,000 of that. So we're maintaining 1,000 of those servers every time we put a data or information there. So that being said, you're paying times 1,000, times 100, no, of information in the blockchain compared to traditional forms. So you only put there yung mission critical. Hindi mo nilalagay lahat ng information like yung kwento, for example. Create a story, gumawa ka ng pelikula, ligay mo doon. 1 gig, 2 gig of information. It doesn't work that way. You would end up paying millions of dollars, kalahati pa lang na-upload mo. Okay? Next is, another issue would be establishing standards. So there's no standard right now in blockchain. That's why it's a bit chaotic. No? Everyone wants to create their own standard and try to push this standard to their clients, their partners, no? And even the government. But if we're able to establish some sort of standard in your internal agency or government offices, that would be enough for now. Kasi establishing standard for the blockchain itself would take long. Similarly, no, when the GSM came out, yung mga nakakaalala po ng GSM, no? Nag-start po tayo, malalaki yung phone. From GSM, napalitan na. Kaya ngayon, puro LTE na tayo. It's actually a different provider. No? So when we talk about blockchain service provider din sila, pwedeng mapalitan yung ginagamit natin na standard. Right? So we have to take into consideration yung factors na yun in determining what type of solution do we want inside our system to make it more efficient and effective. So what's the impact of blockchain when we try to use it in government services? Number one, it ensures transparency, accountability, financial inclusion, and better responsiveness. So this is actually solving the first 4 concerns, no? And then the 4 features that we are saying for citizen-centric governance. Okay, and how does this fix transparency? When you go to a ledger ng blockchain, you could actually see the encrypted transaction there posted. It's open for public. Okay? And when I'm saying blockchain technology, it's not always the same. If you try to use something called a private network or private consortium blockchain network, only a select few could see that. So there are different architecture of blockchain. Merong mga blockchain networks used for public transactions. May mga blockchain networks used for government services. No? And there are also those created for both or hybrid type of blockchain solutions. Kasi minsan may mga transactions tayo na ayaw natin nalalaman sa labas because these are of national security, for example. Or we want to protect the privacy and the volume of transactions happening inside our agency. But we want to maintain a level of transparency within our agency. So that works. The best blockchain for that is actually consortium blockchain. Next, for accountability. If your information is placed there, not readable, hindi to readable, it's encrypted. If your information is placed there, you can easily pull out yung information na yun because that's over the internet. In a few seconds, if you verify a document, you could already know if it's fake, who the person is, ano yung mga transactions using that say information. And you could also understand and know kung sino yung mga possible culprit in times na meron tayong criminal cases or concerns that you want addressed within your agency. or clients. And number three, yung financial inclusion is if you're trying to solve all of these, the first two, may accountability pagka gumagamit ka ng mga systems nyo. Not because you're using a blockchain system, but you're using a blockchain supplemented system. That's entirely different. May accountability, may transparency, magagamit na natin lahat ng information ngayon kasi we are preserving the sources of truth. And let me explain that further with the example moving forward. Of course, again, if there are applications like this that we feel more safe, we feel more secure, that we engage in, alam natin na pag may nangyaring mali, we can easily pinpoint the persons involved, tataas yung responsiveness dun sa application natin. We can act faster in terms of, say, queries or concerns. Mabilis po natin malalaman dito yung mga concerns nila. So, when we're trying to empower citizens in a blockchain-enabled society, so when we look into, say, controlled smart city na lang, concepts of smart city, very important na may identity management tayo. This is number one. I think alam naman natin yun, that's why we have our own national ID. We have different IDs in different offices. Diba? We want to identify these individuals. Next is we also want to eventually have a way to vote digitally. I'm not saying national level, but I'm saying vote in terms of, say, a simple survey na lang for you to address internal issues, malalaman niyo yung mga concerns nila. You can create surveys, they can vote upon it, or say, yung usual nyo lang na processes, approvals within your agency. Meron kayong mga approvals na kailangan gawin, you could do it online. Next is social welfare distribution. With a blockchain-enabled society, it would be easier for people to access. Kasi madali mong mapinpoint yung mga individuals. Malalaman mo, taga rito ka, taga ron ka. Maling agency pinupuntahan mo, dapat sa kabila ka. It's faster. That way, yung distribution but this is a problem, no? A big problem. Again, as earlier mentioned, we're trying to determine the sources of truth. And for me, personally, when I look down into how solutions are being made, we're doing it top to bottom all the time. We're trying to hit as much people as we can from the national level going down. But if you try to change it, no, to bottoms up, that's where blockchain thrives. Because blockchain is best when it's receiving first-hand information. It is not best when it's receiving second-hand, third-hand. No? Yung mga chismis na information, yung mga pinapasang information, it is not that effective because there's no way for you to preserve something that you're not sure is true. So, what we always say is, of course, garbage in, garbage out. If you put an information there na hindi sigurado na tama, na mailagay lang, it would come out the same way. The blockchain can never protect you. No? It's just a waste of resources implementing blockchain if that's your system. Next is, after, of course, we determine the sources of truth. Say, for example, yung identity ng person, you're able to establish that, nakuha ng birth certificate, no? We automatically correct if there are issues no, sa document, no? Yung mga details nila, and preserve that inside the blockchain. So kung titingnan nyo, number 1 and number 2 are not actually blockchain solutions. These are done by the agencies, the people involved. No? Number 3, dun lang papasok si blockchain. So it's not a standalone. But it's a reliable service and product and a technology that you can rely on. Talaga. Going back to retrieving those information, it would actually be easier for you using the blockchain. So this is a simple I would say, example on how we can implement this in a simple document sa cedula. Kasi I think it's been going around, no, that cedula is not reliable anymore. Totoo naman po kasi nabibili siya sa bangketa. Bibili mo as much price na gusto mo, 50 pesos lang, 100 pesos. Depende sa trip mo, no? Ganun na siya eh. When I was taking my board exam before, sa labas lang, no, nakuha na ako ng 50 kasama na yung registration daw na online for, so nakakatuwa. Bayad na siya, may package 300 pesos, no? Kompleto na. So, but this is a very powerful document. You know why? Number one is, nandyan yung TIN number mo, nandyan yung lahat ng personal information mo. I don't think na nandun yan sa driver's license mo. Nandun din yung sinasahod mo. Nandun din yung fingerprint mo. Nandyan din yung ano, yung kompleto, yung date kung kailan mo nakuha yung cedula, which is very important because it's being used on a regular basis. Nandito din yung evaluation nung kailangan mong bayaran, which is also very important to determine who you are, what you do, no? And all of the other questions involved. And what we do there is pipiliin lang natin yung mission critical information. Basically, sa document na yan, lahat. Diba? Lahat gusto natin matrack and even more. So, as you can see here, meron tayong cedula, yung BAR form number, at saka yung serial niya, nakalagay dito sa gilid. Next is yung name. For example, ako yan. Yung TIN number. Yung other personal details natin nakalagay dito. Nakalagay din po dyan. Next is we wanted to also add to yung assessment fee and payment. Why? Because we want to double check this moving forward. Totoo ba lagi sinasabi niya? Kasi we don't have a chance to actually check sources of truth right now. No? But these are controls. Pwede natin gamitin to, no, to add to our policy to make the document even more secure. Next is we'll also check yung mga assessors o auditors ng document. No? Sino ba yung mga yon? Lagyan natin ng unique identifier. What are these unique identifier? Pagka yung number na yon, 0123, si Emman yon. Pag 0124, di ba? Iba naman yon. So, ganun natin siya ginagawa. Ilalagyan natin ng mga unique identifiers. And sa blockchain, meron tayong tinatawag na wallet. No? Yung wallet natin are not actually wallets. Those are your unique identifiers. Yun yung persona mo. Yun yung pagkatao mo. The only difference ng blockchain sa real world is pwede kang mag-multiply doon. Pwedeng 10 yung account mo, pwedeng 20. That's why kailangan natin ng standards to change how that works. No? Lagyan natin ng KYC, connect natin yung KYC. Okay, established na. Ito lang yung number mo. Pag nag-iba ka at pag na-check natin na meron ka ng existing account, hindi natin i-accept yon, right? So, next is since we all have that details, no? Pati yung date. Of course, timestamp na rin yan, yung date. Kasama na yan kung kailan nag-transact, kailan nagbayad. We can actually add that. Kailan ba in-assess din? Kailan ba in-audit? No? May lalagay natin yan. Ganito lang yung magiging itsura niya when we hash that. And that is a very small file size. No? It's just a few bytes, kilobytes at max. So kung titignan nyo yung pinakamatagal na network na, which is Bitcoin, ang total data na nasa loob niya, transacting since 2007 until now, is just around 4 to 5 gigs total. 4 to 5 gigabyte. No? Kasi nakaganyan lang po yan. Ganyan lang po yung itsura niya. And this is actually an example of what we're trying to do in the space right now in VTI. What we are trying to do is to maximize this technology. How do we make it even more citizen-centric? What we wanted to establish is every time na gumagawa kayo ng document, you could actually share it online. But at the same time, every time na ini-scan yung document nyo, no, they ask permission sa'yo. And you can deny that. Right? So, pinakamalaking problema right now is identity theft. Why? Information natin nakakalat na. Like it or not, sineserox yung mga ID natin, kinakalat yan. Yung mga nag-offer ng credit card sa inyo, sigurado. Nako, na-share na yan. Diba? But there are things that we can do, no? Or services that we can offer to show na, oh, nagamit yung data ko, pero hindi ako yan. Kasi hindi ko in-approve, oh. Nasa listahan ng transaction ko, wala yan. Hindi ko siya in-approve. So that's something that we can add into our service, another layer of protection, so that users na ninanakaw yung information or nanakaw yung phone or nanakaw lahat ng details, every time nagagamitin siya for a specific purpose, humihingi ng permission diretso sa may-ari digitally. So that's what we're trying to solve. But of course, we are just one of the components. Kailangan natin yung infrastructure, kailangan natin yung magandang access sa internet, magandang cellphone, no? Para magawa to. And of course, the others. Dapat meron tayong load. Diba? So, how does this work? First is we create a document. Once the cedula, for example, is created, it comes with a QR code or barcode or whatever. And every time na ini-scan tong barcode na to, yung QR code na to, na pwedeng nasa ID nyo na rin every time na ini-scan yan. Sa user na ini-scan yung ID, lalabas to. A-approve ko ba yung pag-share ng document or i-deny ko? And what's good with blockchain technology is kung sino lang yung pinapadalhan mo, siya lang ang nagkakaroon ng access. The rest, ang makikita nila, yung kanina. Eto. Ayan lang. But those na binibigyan nyo ng access, makikita nila yung document. They could actually view it. Makikita nila yung pangalan nyo, makikita nila lahat ng laman ng document na yun. Therefore, allowing them to use it for the services that you're availing. Say, for example, opening a bank account. Simple as that. Going to a school, applying for scholarship, for example. Hanapin yung grade mo. No? Nakahash na siya. Shinare mo siya doon. Those simple stuff. So you can see the technology could actually be used in a lot of ways. But the problem is, of course, making it more user-friendly right now. And of course, our infrastructure to be ready. As you heard kanina, meron na tayong mga data centers being in place. No? Of course, yung internet natin is faster now compared to before. When we had only 2 players. Ngayon, madami na. No? Ang bilis na. No? Nagkakaroon na rin tayo ng mga free Wi-Fi access. No? So, we want all of those initiatives. We need it happening around the Philippines. So that ang mga kagamit nito, pati yung mga indigenous natin, mga kababayan, they could actually use the technology. Because ang mahirap sa kanila is, one of the problems nga, is pag hiningi mo yung address nila, ang bibigay nila sa barangay. Diba? Kasi they don't have a particular address. Naka-address sa lupa nila mismo. Ancestral siya. No? So, yung lupa nila pwedeng nandun sa bundok na yon, sa kabilang bundok. And we wanted this to be, in a way, utilized. This framework na lang. Kahit hindi kami, basta the framework we use. Because we're seeing that if a cedula can be as credible as a national ID or a driver's license, do we need the others? Or dadagdagan na lang natin yon, driver's license, ganyan. Dadagdagan na lang natin ng parameters yung cedula natin. Because we already know na this person is real, this person is that guy na nag-a-apply sa akin, mas mabilis na ngayon yung proseso. Hindi na siya hihingi ka pa ng 3 ID, 4 na ID. Sir, ano po? Police clearance pa, NBA clearance pa. Right? Now, with this technology, pag view yun, yung document niya, if the government agencies are already interconnected, it would be easier for them to verify. Alam mo na kagad yung tao sino So, kalat na lang natin yan. Alamin natin kung meron siya mga kaso, alamin natin kung meron siya mga issues, tignan natin sa Interpol. Madali na po lahat yun. Because you already have that information. At approve yon nung tao. So, may consent yung tao. So, with that, we're seeing that we can slowly eliminate to mga identity scams na to. In fact, pagka pumunta tayo sa doktor, sa susunod, hindi na tayo nagsascan ng GCash QR code. Isa-scan mo na mismo yung QR code nila to si doktor ba talaga to? 'Di ba? Those kind of things. Small things but would make each and every one of you, citizens, tayo lahat, no? Make it more transparent, make it more easier for us to engage with them, to trust the people, no, beforehand. And since we have that, pagdating sa financial inclusions, madali na for AMLA, madali na for opening accounts, madali na to access to yung mga unbank natin, madali na magkaroon ng access to, say, financial products and services. Kasi we have something to show, some document to show and be verified on the barangay level or even lower, community level, right? So to recap, medyo okay pa ba kayo? Alam ko, hapon na po, no? But just to recap everything, no? Blockchain is really big in the Philippines, in fact, Southeast Asia. And this, I think, is one of the ways wherein we can propel faster. Maraming tayong masiskip na technology na pinagdaanan ng ibang bansa, no? Because the only problem ng gobyerno natin, or I would say the Philippines in general, is trust. Ang hirap ibigay ng tiwala ngayon, no? But if we have a system that would help us trust the persons that we are transacting and working with, it would be easier for us to move faster. Mas mabilis ang deals, mas mabilis ang transactions, mas mabilis ang approvals, mas mabilis ang turnaround ng ating mga services. Number 2, of course, alam nyo na po to, no? Yung blockchain is immutable, decentralized, and transparent. And yung mga myths, no? It's not cryptocurrency. Kapag kami nakausap kayo, explain nyo naman sa akin Bitcoin, yung blockchain. Sabihin sa inyo, actually, mag-download ka ng ganitong wallet, bumili ka ng Bitcoin, ganyan. Those are cryptocurrencies, right? And those are just byproducts. And the reason why tinatangkilik kasi yon, it's because now you have the world to impress. Mas madali na yung funding, no? Mas mabilis na lahat. But that's not what we want to address in a citizen-centric governance. Of course, what we want to establish, the core issue is establishing the sources of truth, right? Na walang pupunta sa Pilipinas na magle-late registration ng birth certificate, magkakaroon ng passport, yung pala hindi Pilipino, di ba? Alright? So those are happening. And minsan, indigenous sila, magre-register, nahihirapan. Late registration. Kasi hindi rin registered yung mga kasama nila. No one's vouching for them. No? So if we have something like this, kahit yung barangay or yung chieftain na lang nila yung maging source of truth natin, much better. Kasi alam natin sa probinsya, ganun talaga. No? We just have to have someone to vouch for them. Kasi included na yun eh. Sino yung nag-vouch sa'yo doon sa blockchain? Ngayon, pag nagkaroon ng problema, no, madali mong malalaman, itong taong to ang nag-vouch sa'yo. So, pwede mo na rin ngayon tignan lahat ng mga connected sa kanya. Tignan mo rin, o baka mamaya, yung 10 pang ibang na siya yung nag-vouch, meron pa rin palang issues, no? So, it would be easier. And of course, the best approach is bottoms up and community-based. Right? So, blockchain, as much as possible, first-hand information. Hindi tayo naglalagay ng data dito na pinasa or galing sa iba. What we want are first-hand information because we want to establish the sources of truth. Once this is done, I think we are solving a lot of problems in the Philippines. No, in fact, if this is resolved, magiging masaya tayo lahat kasi now we know na hindi na tayo pipila sa maraming agencies. Pwede na mag-online lahat. Kasi with one document that is a source of truth, that's credible. No, yun ang naman ang kailangan i-establish eh. You can get all of the services of the government. Right. So with that, I would say thank you very much. And if you want to reach out, you can always connect using QR.